Welcome to our Sunday gathering at the table here as we talk about the week's big stories. And of course, there is only one story that anyone is talking about this week, and that's the Memphis City election, specifically the Memphis mayor's race, which is now just 4 days away. In fact, we are committing our entire 30 minutes to all things related to these last days of what many agree is the most important mayoral election since 1991. So let's get right to introducing my panel for you today. Otis Sanford on my far right is ABC24's political analyst. Next to him is Catherine Burgess, who's been covering this election for the Commercial Appeal, and Deidre Malone is a political consultant and founder and CEO of the Carter Malone Group. Thanks to all three of you for being here. This is like Christmas for us, right? We love elections.
We do.
And this is the Christmas Eve. This last show next week, obviously we'll know who the winner is, or we hope we will. So I just want to kind of, before we talk about any specific campaigns, I just want to kind of look at it from 30,000 feet and just see where you guys see the race right now. I do have a graphic to get us started, and that's from Perry Strategies. He likes to break down all the analytics of early voting and all voting for that matter, but he's done a great map of Shelby County, or Memphis, I should say, the city of Memphis, and where the early voting turnout is. And this is current as of Friday afternoon. About 42,000 people have taken part in early voting. That's about 11.2% of registered voters. If you see the dark green there, those are that's a precinct where it's more than 25% of registered voters showing up. If you see light green, that's an area of less than 5% based on all the precincts. So we'll start with you, Deidre, as you look at that. What is your interpretation as you see that, and just the fact that the turnout is what it is?
I think I'm glad to see that people are getting out. I still think the number's going to be high on election day. Some people are still conflicted. They just don't know quite yet who they're going to vote for. We have some incredible candidates that are seeking the mayor's office. We often talk about the top four, and I think people are just trying to still weigh who's going to be the best person to represent us. But I think the numbers are going to be a lot higher than people anticipate.
I wish we had a poll that was more recent than at least post all the televised debates, but we never did get one of any credibility. And so we really, all we know is that about one in four voters, as of that point anyway, have been undecided. So there probably are going to be a lot of people just sitting and waiting before they actually
like
go. Like you.
Normally I
haven't voted yet?
No, but I'm still trying to decide. I'm going to go vote today.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Very good. Catherine, what's your assessment of things?
I'm curious whether all those undecided voters are going to decide by Thursday, or if they might just decide to stay home and see what happens. Because if they haven't decided now, what's going to happen in the next 4 days that's going to actually make them make up their mind. So I'm really curious to see what the turnout will be on Election Day. I'm certainly hoping for a big turnout, but I am maybe a little skeptical.
Well, you had an interesting take in your column this week for the Daily Memphian. You said, judging by the inquiries I'm getting and the results so far in early voting, interest in the outcome is far outpacing actual participation. People truly care about who becomes the city's next mayor, even those who live outside Memphis and cannot vote. The reasons are obvious. As much as suburbanites like to bash Memphis, all of us in the Mid-South have a vital stake in the leadership and the fortunes of the Bluff City. You were saying you would love to see, based on the interest, a turnout of above 40%, but we all are pretty sure it's not going to be that.
Well, we can still hope. If Deidre is saying that there will be a higher than, and I said the same thing, a higher than expected turnout on election day, which generally is about the same as early voting. If it's higher and really much higher, we might get to that 40%. We need to get to 40%. I'm saying even higher than 40% just because of what you said, Richard. This is the most consequential election we've had since 1991. And the interest, Catherine and I were talking about it before the show, the interest is high. Everywhere I go, people are asking, who's going to win? Who's going to win? So, but they're interested. They're just not yet going to the polls in the numbers that they should. But this is an exciting race. Everybody cares about it. And, you know, I think everybody in Memphis is going to be glued to what's going on Thursday night.
I've always said politics in Memphis is a spectator sport, if nothing else. People have loved all the stories through the decades. Let me show that map if we can once again, Otis, because I just want to get your take on it. It's just interesting to me. There's that little sliver at East Memphis, actually Cordova, that has a very heavy turnout. And then, of course, right at the Poplar Corridor, right there in the middle of East Memphis. You see a heavy turnout. And then it's kind of sad to me, too, the areas where it's less than 5% of people have shown up so far. Those are notably Berkeley and Hickory Hill, which have heavy Latino population. And, you know, we all know the fact that section or segment, I should say, of our community doesn't really feel like they have a voice.
Well, that's because the candidates are not speaking to them. Mm-hmm. There's only been one or two events that I went to one where there was even any discussion to the Hispanic community. I think all of the candidates have done a pretty woeful job of trying to reach that segment of our population. But again, the turnout in early voting has been high in those East Memphis early polling areas. Second Baptist Church, Church of Christ over there at White Station. That shows me that white voters are interested here.
Right.
And I think it helps Bonner a little bit, and I think it helps Paul Young. But we won't know until, obviously, on election day.
There's so many retailers, though, out there, too, in the business sector and office buildings and what have you, that wherever you may live in the city, a lot of people work there. And it could just be easily explained by the fact that that's where I happen to work, and during my lunch break, that's where I'm going to go vote.
And that could very well be the case.
Mm-hmm. And I think that speaks a little bit to access, too, because a lot of the neighborhoods that have less voting are more lower-income neighborhoods. And it can be hard to get time off work and then find a ride and go to the polls, whereas your Poplar Corridor, maybe you've got slightly more affluent folks who are able to get to the polls a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you that those Hickory Hill boxes and those Whitehaven boxes are going to tick up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if it's going to tick up by Saturday, but election day, because those are boxes that if you're a candidate, you're focusing on. Mm-hmm. So watch Hickory Hill and watch Whitehaven.
Well, the third highest number of votes in early voting was at Abundant Grace in Whitehaven. Mm-hmm. And I think Deidre's right when she says that there are so many people in a lot of those communities, Whitehaven, that still just haven't made up their minds yet.
They've made up their minds.
You had an interesting story this week, Catherine, about campaign workers at the polls who've been upset now for several election cycles that they haven't been able to use the restrooms at the various polling precincts. And you had a story today, in fact, on this Friday, that the Election Commission feels like it's been able to walk the fine line there about how it's going to accommodate. Talk a little bit about what happened with that story this week.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like I was having deja vu because I just covered a lawsuit about this in 2019. And in that 2019 lawsuit, a judge issued a temporary injunction requiring the Election Commission to allow campaign workers to use the restrooms in polling places. So I was kind of like, why is this happening again? But since that was just an injunction for that election, it is happening again. Mm-hmm. And I think the Election Commission did not want to get sued again. So they've kind of come up with a plan that they believe helps with the security of the location, but also allows access to restrooms. So basically, they are having campaign workers be designated people who under law are the other people allowed in a campaign site. And then on actual election day, these campaign workers will have to be designated poll watchers to be allowed to use the restrooms. So it's kind of an interesting solution, and it's only a solution for this year. Some state legislators have proposed a fix that's never gone through. So my guess is we'll probably see them trying to propose some kind of fix for all elections sometime in the near future.
How do you feel about this, Otis? Because I'm like, if you're there to volunteer for a campaign, that's great. Yeah. But I don't think you should be able to necessarily walk into the precinct and the polling place where voters, you know, there's that 100-foot rule, 150-foot rule. Right. I don't want somebody handing me literature as they're heading to the restroom, wink, wink, or am I being too suspicious?
You are.
I am? Okay.
Well, certainly they should not.
I don't want to deny anyone the right to go to the bathroom, but I mean, we've done it for decades and decades.
They should not, obviously, they should not be doing that. Don't come in the door and you're wearing vote for this person shirt and you got some flyers and I'm just on my way to the ladies' room or the men's room. Oh, here's a bat. No, we definitely don't want that. But there may be some kind of an accommodation here. If there's a designated a restroom for somebody that really gets them away from where the actual voting is, maybe so, but I don't know. I think the Election Commission, I don't think they have a real obligation to do this. These are not, but they are not poll workers.
Do they want to get sued again, though, and have that same judge, I don't know if it would be the same judge or not, but have a judge come right back and issue another temporary injunction? You've got to go through another whole lawsuit the week before Election Day. Yeah. I mean,
first of all, they don't take the material inside, y'all. They don't. They don't, and they turn their T-shirts around. They go and they turn their T-shirts around, and they go in and they use the bathroom. They do not take the literature inside, okay? They just don't.
I'm just trying to cut down on
They're
the
not
problem.
allowed to.
Maybe this is a gender thing, I don't know. But I don't want to pursue this topic anymore. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down the just specific campaigns, and I think this will be a very fun segment as well. We'll be right back.